Above the cloud sea, there were only 2 large platforms left at the moment, but according to the number of Qingyun disciples watching, the number of people watching Chao's competition with Zhang Xiaofan on the west side was probably less than 30% of the audience here. Almost everyone was attracted by the most prominent figures of this event, Lu Zueki and the extremely lucky Zhang Xiaofan. Among the seniors, including ZhuXian Trooperson, most of them sat under this platform. However, when everyone saw Lu Zueki stepping onto the platform, after a burst of cheers, most of them started discussing whether Zhang Xiaofan would be defeated in a breath or a blink of an eye. Under the platform, Tia Bai frowned, although he knew quite well about Zhang Xiaofan's foundation. Hearing the disdainful remarks from the people behind him still made him uncomfortable. Sitting next to him, Su Ru couldn't help but look around for her daughter. After yesterday's big quarrel, Tia Linger ran away crying, and she was nowhere to be seen early this morning. Knowing her daughter well, Su Ru was afraid that this stubborn girl had gone to watch Chao's competition platform. She shook her head, although she loved her only daughter very much. This time she completely sided with her husband. Perhaps this was the instinct of being a mother. She always felt that the people on the Dragon Head Peak were not very good. She turned her head and looked at the platform. At the same time, Zhang Xiaofan on the stage was also looking at her. Their eyes met in the air, and after a moment, Zhang Xiaofan looked around as if he didn't find the person he was looking for, and then silently withdrew his gaze. Su Ru frowned slightly and said to Tia Bai, "Xiaofan's expression doesn't seem right today. He looks as if he's lost all his spirit." Tia Bai said faintly, "He's just nervous. He's a child who hasn't seen the world. It's not surprising." Su Ru fell silent and didn't say anything else. Zhang Xiaofan retracted his gaze and looked at Lu Zueki's face on the opposite side. The beautiful face glowed in the early morning sun, radiant and charming. Soon, Lu Zueki felt Zhang Xiaofan's gaze, and a hint of disdain appeared in her eyes again. But this time, Zhang Xiaofan didn't avoid it. He didn't even feel the mocking gaze from the other side. At this moment, the beautiful face had completely lost its meaning to him, only in his heart. He murmured painfully, "She's not here. She went to watch Chao's competition." As clever as Lu Zueki, she quickly noticed that her opponent was looking at her but seemed to be thinking about something else, completely ignoring her presence in his hollow eyes. This was almost the first time she had experienced this in her life, and a hint of surprise seemed to flash in her eyes. Ding! The bell rang, echoing on the heavenly peak. The surroundings quickly quieted down. Lu Zueki straightened up, took a deep breath, and as long as she won 2 more matches, just 2, she could fulfill her dream and her master's expectations. Tianyin behind her slowly rose, emitting a blue light. Zhang Xiaofan watched as the blue light grew deeper and brighter, covering his body with a blue hue, but he no longer felt any nervousness. Instead, deep down in his heart, he was vaguely looking forward to something. He took out that ugly black fire stick. There was a burst of laughter from below, compared to the majestic and noble Tianyin behind Lu Zueki, which radiated an otherworldly aura. The fire stick looked like an ugly bug crawling on the ground, and at this moment, it was still a bug that seemed to have lost its soul. A cold sensation filled his body again. For some reason, there seemed to be a special excitement on the fire stick today, and the sensation of coldness moved much faster than usual. Zhang Xiaofan even felt that if it weren't for the sensation of being connected to this burning stick by flesh and blood, if it weren't for him holding onto this burning stick, it might have already charged towards Lu Zueki. No, it shouldn't be towards Lu Zueki, but towards Tianyin, that inexplicable feeling, like to arch enemies. At this moment, Lu Zueki's expression suddenly changed as well. Tianyin's brilliance was too dazzling, seemingly strange to her as well, but Zhang Xiaofan didn't think deeply about it. He looked at the beautiful woman in the blue light and suddenly realized that she seemed like senior sister. However, this senior sister had a cold gaze, looking at him coldly, unexpectedly. On the stage, Zhang Xiaofan and Lu Zueki didn't make a move, just staring at each other motionlessly. The audience below was in an uproar, discussing endlessly. Lu Zueki suddenly woke up. The The Tianyin, which had always been connected to her spiritually, suddenly showed unusual movements, making her feel strange. However, when she used her mental power to check Tianyin, there was nothing unusual, just as if Tianyin had a restless feeling. Feeling the countless strange gazes below, ZhuXian frowned, steadied herself, coldly hummed, and commanded. Tianyin's blue light shone brightly, soaring into the sky, but still didn't leave its sheath. Since the start of the 7 sex competition, Tianyin had become the focus of everyone's attention. However, until now, ZhuXian had defeated all her opponents one by one without drawing Tianyin. This made everyone speculate who could make her draw her divine sword. At this moment, everyone speculated that it must be the final showdown. With the cultivation of Dragonhead Peak Sihao, only he could do it. The blue light shone on Zhang Xiaofan's face, but it couldn't reveal any expression. The black burning stick emitted a faint blue light, slowly leaving his palm and stopping in front of him. Although everyone had seen this burning stick before, including the people of Dazhu Peak, most of the onlookers were seeing Zhang Xiaofan using magic for the first time. Du Bishu snorted and said, "If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that the foolish junior brother of 2 years ago suddenly became a natural genius." On the stage, ZhuXian's face was solemn, her incantations tied like a mountain. Suddenly, the brilliant Tianyin midair turned around, as fast as lightning, with the momentum of splitting mountains and seas, rushing towards Zhang Xiaofan. The burning stick immediately met it. The dark blue light collided with the brilliant blue light in midair. Surprisingly, it seemed fearless. In the next moment, to the astonishment of everyone, Zhang Xiaofan seemed to be overwhelmed, as if seriously injured. He flew backward, and the burning stick lost its luster, spinning in the air and flying back towards its owner. For a moment, everyone on Dazhu Peak stood up. Even impatient people like Du Bishu couldn't help but exclaim. Zhang Xiaofan slammed into the pillar on the stage, fell down, feeling a sweetness in his throat. A mouthful of blood sprayed onto the burning stick, flying back, adding a tinge of blood to it. Then, unnoticed by anyone, Zhang Xiaofan's blood quickly seeped into it. The might of Tianyin was so great that everyone was stunned.